You have heard me speak a lot about the importance of our birth date, time, and place from which our natal chart is established. But what about the 9 months leading to our birth? Well, these are also very important and maybe even more important than our actual birth because they basically determine what will unfold in the next 99, 100, 120 years of our physical existence. How? Where is what happened during our gestation recorded? This is what we shall find out here today. Good morning, bonjour, welcome to my channel where we talk about all things astrological. Michelle Karen, astrologer, shaman, author of Astrology for Enlightenment, published by Simon & Schuster, New York, as well as the astrologically based Oracle deck Attuning with the Quantum. I was selected to be the astrologer to the stars at the 78th Academy Awards in Hollywood. So, purely from an astrological point of view, a woman can only conceive when the luminaries, the sun and the moon, are in the exact same angular relationship. So, not necessarily the signs, that doesn't matter, that they were at in her own birth chart. For example, if her sun is at 1 degrees Aries and her moon lies 72 degrees further at 13 degrees Gemini, only when the sun and the moon in the sky are at a distance of 72 degrees from each other can she conceive. In our modern society, we have for the most part forgotten the sacredness of having a child. There are, of course, thankfully, still parents desiring deeply to have a baby, are ready for it, prepare for it, welcome their offspring with love, care, and excitement. But there is also, sadly, the case scenario of many people who are not in the best of relationships, get drunk one night, have sex, find out they are pregnant, and some 9 months later give birth to a baby hoping for the best. Conceiving a child is probably the most sacred creation there is. We choose our children as our children choose us, which is clearly demonstrated by children who remember their time in between incarnations, such as recorded in that great series on YouTube entitled The Ghost Inside My Child. Worth watching. I recommend it. It is the level of our consciousness that determines the kind of soul we attract. More simply said, our children reflect our level of thoughts and emotions. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule in the case of specific karmic lessons, as is reflected in the beautiful true story, Anna and Mr. God, which I really recommend, where little 4-year-old Anna, who was obviously a very evolved soul, ran away from her parents, she described as a cow and a pig, and was blessed enough to stumble upon her true soul family who took her in, and the rest is history. But as a general rule, the more conscious the parents are, the more spiritually advanced the soul they are going to attract. Maybe one of the main causes of humanity having become as messed up as it is today could come from the insistence on selfish pleasure at all costs, pornography, sex devoid of love, test tube manipulations, using, surrogate mother, and maybe women being more concerned by their looks and the well-being of their child. The father shares his seed, which contains the entirety of his essence. Of course, there again, the higher his consciousness, the better. The awareness of the mother is also of utmost importance. And you may remember in fairy tales, the godmothers would gather around the crib of the baby princess and each bestow upon her a special gift. Well, this is not fantasy. This is very real. The thoughts and emotions the mother harbors during her pregnancy can make or break a child. And she can save herself a lot of future headaches by focusing on all the qualities she wants her child to manifest. And that soul that is around the mother, and sometimes even way before she even meets the father, preparing for his or her new incarnation, is listening. Very much like I explained in the love and relationship video on how to attract our right partner, link below, the parents should make a list of the traits they want their child to have. But this one, you don't need to make 15 times, just once is enough. But every day during the pregnancy, the mother and the father, of course, can, but it's mostly the mother, should read it, focusing on those traits, feeling them, wishing with all her heart her unborn child to be beautiful, powerful, strong, honest, in good health, have intelligence, kindness, love, etc. Those qualities will get imprinted in her child's cells, and her education will be complete before even that child is born. So you may know that, but when I was 14 years old and I announced to my parents I would be an astrologer, they stared at me in complete disbelief. Nobody in my family had ever been remotely interested in astrology. And to them, it wasn't even a profession. So it's like, what the hell? Well, when I dug a little bit, I found that while my parents were expecting me, they were very poor. And to make a little bit of money, my father got an extra job translating horoscopes from English into Finnish. And now they were surprised. Hello. Even if unknowingly they had totally anchored my vocation. There you go. In our own natal chart, the picture of the heavens when we were born, and you know that, our conception is marked by the cusp of our ninth house, and the state of mind of our mother is recorded in the planets and signs in the ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th house. The position of the luminaries, the sun for the father and the moon for the mother, show what their desire was to have a child. It was conscious if one or both were above the horizon, or unconscious if one or both was under the horizon. And in the eastern part of the chart, whether the conception was logical, rational, and maybe a little more selfish. In the western part, if it was more selfless and holistic. We can find out a lot more about the relationship of our parents at the time, how we were conceived, who initiated the conception, what our mother felt when she found out she was pregnant, what we experienced before we were even born, etc., etc. But this goes beyond the scope of this video, and I'm not going to go into it right now. The mother is not always conscious of the exact time the actual conception happened, but when she is, it is wonderful. I have been blessed to establish a few conception charts, and it is fascinating to compare it to the actual birth chart of that baby. It reveals so much of the purpose of the future baby's reason to incarnate. It has also been my repeated experience that children born prematurely exhibit the traits of the sign they should have been born under, which would tend to confirm that we do choose our chart in advance and prepare for it and all that for all the karmic reasons you know. Finding the sex of a baby to come is really easy. You don't need x-rays. Always look at the sign the moon was in at the time of conception. If it was in a masculine sign, all the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sag, and the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, it will be a boy. If the moon was in a feminine sign, these are all the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, it will be a girl. It is also worthy to note that it is very frequent to find the sun, moon, or ascendant sign of the parents mirrored in their child's birth chart. For example, a mother or a father with his or her moon in Virgo is more likely to have a child with his, her moon, sun, or ascendant also in Virgo. Astrological progressions, which is a way to see the future or how the future unravels, states that day after birth equals 1 year of life, which means that in the first 3 to 4 months of our life, we experience the microcosm of our entire Earth existence. For example, if the baby fell off her chair on day 45, this is likely to be reflected by possibly an accident in his or her 45th year of life. My mother told me I was a really weird baby. When I was really small, if anybody tried to kiss me, I would just extend my little arms so that they couldn't get anywhere close. And actually, this is wisdom, because for the first 3 years of a baby's life, no one but his or her parents and very close family should touch it. In nature, wild animals who are still very close to their instinct, innate knowledge, abandon their little ones handled by someone other than themselves. Because a newborn's intelligence is also wide open, it is important to not allow strangers to raise our children, as much as possible, because of distortions, subliminal information, etc. Children love stories, and reading to them is very important. And it's a bit of a tragedy that nowadays Disney cartoons have replaced real storytelling, and that we are delegating that sacred task to strangers. The Grimm fairy tales are the best because they give a strong psychic basis for right and wrong, good and evil. Once I met a little boy who was, I don't know, maybe he was 3 at the time. He was strikingly curious, open, bright, sociable. He could hold an intelligent conversation with about any adult in the room. And this was so unusual that I talked to the parents trying to understand what had made him that way. And they told me that from day one, they had always read to him everything they were reading themselves: philosophical books, the newspapers, scientific essays, legends, you name it, prophecies. It worked. It worked because he kept his mind wide open and was ready to integrate more knowledge and wisdom. Another nice thing is to hang light catchers in the windows, because through the crystals they create the purest color rays of the rainbow, which are also very important in feeding the baby's psyche. And of course, in the end, nothing replaces love, the most essential ingredient necessary for any healthy growth. Your comments are always appreciated. If you are already subscribed to my video, thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, please place a thumbs up. Hit that bell to be notified when I upload a new video once, sometimes twice a week. Remember, as always, choose your battles, walk in beauty. Thank you for watching. Until next time.